Okay, so you welcome along. I feel a little bit rusty. It's been a while since I've been on a Zoom class or talk or something like this. So anyway, it's really good to be here. Really good to see you all. So what we're going to be doing tonight is I'm going to give a talk, and after the talk there'll be a break. During the break there'll be an opportunity to ask any questions that you might have in the chat box. And after that, we're going to do a meditation and a short threefold puja with some Tara mantras at the end. So Tara is very much a theme for the evening, and she's here on the shrine, as well as the Buddha and the three offerings. So yeah, so that's basically the plan for the evening. And if you want to, you can just stay for the talk and leave after the talk. So you can stay for as long as you like. But it'd be lovely to have as many of us as possible to meditate together this evening. So what I want to talk about tonight is basically give a bit of a sense of what the state of things are. So what we've been doing at the DBC over these past months since lockdown started. What the situation is now and where to from here, where we want to move to from here. And during the course of that, I'm going to be reflecting a little bit on what a Buddhist Centre is, and also evoking the jade green light of Tara, who's the Bodhisattva figure that's on the shrine, as I mentioned earlier. So that's the basic plan for the evening. So what we've been doing over at the DBC these past months. So on Saturday, the 14th of March, which is a little bit over 5 months ago, we made the decision, the council that runs the centre, to close the centre. And that was, as it was for many of us, I'm sure, one of the most bizarre weekends of my life. Very, very strange, quite profoundly discombobulating, very, very weird. And I never thought I'd be involved in making a decision to close a Buddhist Centre. Obviously, we weren't closed emotionally or attitudinally, but physically we had to close. So very, very strange weekend. And we made a decision to move all of our events, or as many of them as possible, online. So over the coming weeks, we did that. We just basically moved all the things that we were doing online, and we started doing some additional events as well. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit about those different events and the new things that we've been doing also. So first of all, the yoga. So we're running a yoga program, a little bit awkward with yoga, because, well, at least at the beginning, we weren't able to run classes for new people. That's slightly changed now, and we're going to look at that in the future, but we've been running a slightly reduced yoga schedule. That's been running pretty much since we started the lockdown. We've also got our drop-in events. So we've got morning meditation and lunchtime meditation, the Tuesday evening meditation and drop-in, the Wednesday evening drop-in. And we've been running study groups for people. So at present, there's 7 study groups meeting regularly, either weekly or monthly, in and around the centre. So there's a whole range of order members leading that study. We've also been running events, interviews and talks. So we've had invited guests. We've had Subhadramati, Ratnavandana, Subhuti and others. And we've also recently had our summer retreat run in conjunction and collaboration with the London Buddhist Centre. So that's been a completely new departure for us, to run a retreat entirely on an online platform. And yeah, we're really grateful that the LBC decided to include us in their plans for that retreat. Those are some of the events that we've been running, kind of ongoing events, and things that, in a way, just transfer what we were doing before onto an online platform. The retreat has been, in a way, transferring what we would have done in Cavern onto an online platform, but it's been a much changed kind of experience being online. And then we've got new events. So we've got a new morning puja on a Sunday morning at 11 o'clock, and which is wonderful, and it's been really welcome, actually. A lot of people have been attending that. So it's a very welcome addition to our weekly program. And then one thing that we've been wanting to do for years, and it's come to fruition in the last months, is a parenting seminar and courses. So Atulya Mitra has been running that, and with help from others. And that's something that we wanted to do, like I say, for a long time, to do something a little bit more for parents and for families. And because of the online format, it's enabled people to participate in that. We've never quite been able to pull it off before, but I'm really delighted that new thing's come to fruition. We've also been doing sub-25 seminars. So Daniel's been inviting people to come and run seminars with sub-25s. And more recently, this day last week, we had our first online Mitra ceremonies. So 3 men and women, Ian and Keith and Fiona, all became Mitras, which is really, really brilliant. And there's actually a queue of people waiting to be Mitras. There's at least 10 people who are waiting to be Mitras, just waiting for the moment. So there's been quite a bit going on, new things that we've been doing. And just in terms of the program, I wanted to mention now the courses. So this, I think, has been one of the more significant aspects of the change that we've seen over the last 5 months, and that's in the courses. So since the beginning of March, we've run 12 courses, 12 different courses of between 5 to 8 weeks. And I remember this is one of the things we decided to do quite early on. We thought, well, let's try and run a course online and sort of see what happens. And I remember this one team meeting, we were sitting around and we were just talking about just the sort of state of things and what we were going to do. This is at the very early stages in March when everything was really up in the air in a big way. And we were looking at this, that we were just talking about this course that was coming up. And I remember somebody checked just to see how many bookings we had. And I remember it being a shock to all of us just how many people were booked on. There was, can't remember at the time, but there might have been 40 or 50 people booked on, like far more than we'd ever had on a course. And so the online courses really took off. We put a lot of energy and effort into social media to let people know about them, and they really took off. So it's a bit tricky to say exactly how many people attended those courses, because a lot of people booked on but didn't actually show up. So with those 12 courses, we got 2,200 bookings. So a lot of people were kind of reached, or a lot of people were touched by what we were doing. But in terms of actual numbers in the courses, it was quite a bit lower than that. Although we still had, I remember I think one of the courses, well, I don't think I know that one of the courses I did, there was between 70 and 80 people attending the course. And Vajrashura was telling me today that one of the courses he ran, a meditation course, had about 150 people on it. So we've been able to do, to reach a lot of people that way. And it's been, in a way, quite spectacular, just the number of people that we've contacted. I'll say more about that in a moment, but before I do that, I just really wanted to rejoice in the DBC team. So it's been an extremely challenging time, as it has been for just about everybody. And particularly, I just wanted to rejoice in the team. Daniel started working at the Buddhist Centre in February, and then in March, we all know what happened. So he was really thrown in the deep end, working in a way quite a chaotic environment, and he's really been fantastic. Just particularly getting the word out there online, social media and so on, and just being available to do what needs doing. Was helping me earlier, just set the computer up and get the shrine ready, and all the little odds and ends that need doing, but are actually very important, and hosting a lot of the classes as well online, and just a very, very safe pair of hands. Atulya Mitra only started last September, and again, she's just been brilliantly responsive to just the needs, particularly, just the needs of people, and being very, very available to people, responding to people, contacting people, getting back to people, and keeping the connections alive and vital. And then I think Pava, in a way, has had the most challenging time to transition online. So the yoga classes, yoga, of course, is a physical thing, and I think it's a much more difficult thing to do a yoga class online than a meditation class or a Dharma class. So he's been very adaptable and very responsive just to getting those classes online and doing what needs doing. I was listening to him at home. He was teaching a class, and it was Pavra that I knew from the centre, just doing that through that different format. Vajrashura has just been really can do, as always. I was thinking as well, not just can do, but let's do. So really keen to do as much as we can and to really use the opportunities that the online platform and way of working has offered. So yes, I just wanted to really rejoice in the team and the generosity of spirit, particularly. Everyone's just been really willing to do what we can to keep the three jewels shining in this time. And it's been a really steep learning curve and very challenging. But I would say it's been one of the most creative times that I remember on the centre team. Both creative individually, but also collectively, we've been really getting our heads together and working very harmoniously as well. It's just been really brilliant working with the team the last 5 months. I just really wanted to rejoice in how much effort and sort of joyous and creative effort has been going into what we've been doing. So that's just a little bit of sort of broad brushstrokes on what we've been doing since the beginning of March. What I wanted to say a little bit about now is what the situation is at present. Just some three general kind of points about how we've been operating and what that means. And really, the way we've been operating is, in a way, it feels like a bit of a revolution. That the way we've been functioning has been revolutionized by being sort of thrust into this online format. I know there are all kinds of challenges and drawbacks, but I just wanted to point out three things that have been really significant, that have really revolutionized, like I say, what we're doing. So the first thing is that because we're online, we're available to our events, our classes, our courses are available to anybody, anywhere. So this has been a revolution because people can, contact our classes from anywhere in Ireland. And I particularly, one of the things that's been particularly moving actually is seeing people reconnect who haven't been able to come to this DBC for health reasons or for other reasons. So that's just been really fantastic to see people reconnect with the Sangha and with the three jewels who haven't been able to come to the centre in some cases for a very long time. But yeah, it's been just moving to see that, moving to see people reconnect in that way. And yeah, people have connected from all over the country, from all over Ireland. And I sort of feel like the Sangha has got a much more kind of Irish feel. It's not just about Dublin; it's about the whole island of Ireland, and that's just been really, really wonderful to see. We've even had people coming into our courses from beyond these shores. The most notable example for me is somebody who lives in Georgia in the USA, just outside a place called Dublin, and he Googled, because he wanted to learn how to meditate, Dublin Buddhist Centre, and he found not Dublin, Georgia Buddhist Centre, but Dublin Island Buddhist Centre, and he did a couple of courses with us earlier on in the spring. So that's one of the things that's been a revolution, really, is that we're no longer limited by location, and people have been able to access our events all over the country and beyond. The second thing that's been a revolution is we're no longer limited by size. So as most of you will be aware, the centre that we have is not that big. It's really wonderful, and I'm really grateful that we've had these 4 walls to practice in, but it's not a very big building. But online, we're no longer limited by the space. So when we did a course, the maximum number we could fit in, and it was a bit of a squeeze, was 25. And as I was saying earlier, we've had courses with 150 people attending. So again, that's been a revolution. We've just been able to reach a lot more people, not just people in different parts of the country, but just a lot more people than we have been able to before. And again, the online format really facilitates that. The third thing I wanted to mention as a revolution in the way that we've been working, and I think in a way this is the most profound from the point of view of the Dharma, and that is that we've been doing everything entirely on a dana basis, on the basis of generosity. We've not been charging for any events at all. So all of our events are free of charge. And we decided right from the very beginning of the lockdown that this is the way we wanted to proceed. We knew that people would be in a precarious position financially, and we really wanted to as many people to be able to participate in what we were doing, because we felt really strongly that the Dharma is really what people needed to meet not just the kind of practical and emotional and psychological challenges that the pandemic even was presenting, but the actual existential questions that it gives rise to. Well, what is this life for? What's it all about? And we really wanted to enable people to be able to hear what the Buddha has to say about that, and to reach out and touch the three jewels. So it's something that in a way I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to run in that kind of way, but this has been so many challenges. It's quite a risk to run in an entirely generosity-based way. But there's something wonderful about it. There's something really wonderful about it. There is something wonderful about it. When I notice when I'm delivering classes or whatever I'm doing online as part of the DBC activities, there's a clarity to it. It just feels really clean, like really clear. It's just a bit like, well, I'm just going to communicate to the best of my ability what I think Buddhism is and why it's of value and how you might practice it. And I'm just going to do that in entirely as a gift. And if you want to respond to that by giving a gift also, you can. So why that's significant is because you get away from this kind of exchange-based economics, which is basically most of what we're involved in economically is that kind of economics, exchange-based economics, where it's based on this idea that I've got something that you want, and you can give me money and I'll give it to you, or vice versa. Yeah, so it's money is a means of exchange. And in a Dharma economy, money is just a vehicle for generosity. It's just a way of in a way giving somebody some of your kind of energy and your potential energy. So I sometimes think it's quite useful. I think of money as kind of congealed or crystallized energy that can be moved around in different ways. It makes it much easier to move energy in that kind of way. So we've also been the recipient of, so much goodwill, actually. It's been really quite touching, just that the amount of emails and messages and conversations I've had with people have just been so grateful for what has been offered through the means of the DBC by all the different order members and mitras who've been helping out with things. So that's just been really touching to participate in that and to be a recipient of other people's appreciation. And I think part of the thing that's really highlighted for me going online is the fact that we do have a community, that it really does exist. And in a way, when we can't see each other, you feel those connections. You feel that sense of community and a collective, weirdly, more strongly. When you notice the absence of the actual physical contact and sitting together in a room together. And I also wanted to acknowledge that people have been very generous financially. People have given us, without, in some cases, being asked, an awful lot of money. And we're really terribly grateful for that. It's enabled us to keep going. I'll say more about that later. But what I'll say at the moment is that we've been, our standing orders are up by 37% from January. So we're getting 1,426 euro per month more than we were in January. And so that amounts to 30 new standing orders. So we've gone from 68 people giving monthly in January to 98 people giving, which is a 44% increase in the number of people who are giving to us a regular monthly standing order. So I just wanted to everybody for being so generous. And that's not to mention all the one-off donations, which have been considerable, that people have given of a whole range of different values, but all very welcome, and we're very grateful for it. In a way, it's a bit strange saying that we're grateful, because I mean, it's not like the money's not for us, as it were, in a way, but it just enables so much that one feels a sense of gratitude for it. People giving to something which is giving to other people, as it were. So that's just a little bit about where we are now. So just in terms of those three revolutions and the way that we've been functioning in terms of no limit to our location, so we can be anywhere in the world effectively, but mainly anywhere in Ireland. We're not limited by numbers in the way that we are with a physical space. And also we're now operating on an entirely dana basis. We've completely transformed the kind of economic basis of the way the centre operates, which is a hugely significant development, kind of in a way in the history of our centre. We'd love to keep doing that. We might not be able to, but more in a moment. So in terms of where we want to go to from here, we want to basically keep taking the opportunity to contact and to reach out to as many people as possible. So I think what's been significant in the last while is that we're now assuming that we won't be running classes and events in the way that we used to for a good while. How long exactly, we don't know. But I think in the past we were thinking, oh, well, when we reopen, and we were kind of doing things on an ad hoc basis. But now we're basically assuming that we'll be unable to run face-to-face events till the end of the year at least. It'll probably be beyond then, but we're going to plan a little bit more strategically rather than just being ad hoc. So at present, what we're doing on the centre team is devising a plan of how we're going to run our courses from now until, like I say, until the end of the year. And we are going to focus on courses. We're going to continue all the drop-in events that I mentioned earlier, apart from the Wednesday night drop-in. We're going to drop the Wednesday night drop-in for the moment. Not because it's a terrible thing, but it's just because we want to focus our energy on the courses that we're doing. And really what we're trying to do is provide not just an entry point, so for people to come into the Dharma and the Sangha, but also to deepen their engagement. So we want to see what we can do with those courses to really make the most of them, not just by having people participate in them, but also, and this is something we've already trialed quite a bit, is having more experienced members of the Sangha, Mitras in particular, helping out with those courses. So yeah, so we want to really make the most of our courses. We're also going to want to continue our exploration of how we can offer retreats. So yeah, recently, a couple of weeks ago, we had our first online retreat that we did in collaboration with the London Buddhist Centre, the Brixton Buddhist Centre, the Cambridge Buddhist Centre, and the Sheffield Buddhist Centre. And yeah, there's so much appreciation for that retreat from members of our Sangha in Ireland and beyond Ireland, actually. But particularly in Ireland, people really appreciated it. And we want to see what we can do, whether in collaboration with others or from off our own bat, as it were, to develop and create opportunities for people to go on retreat in an online environment. So, for example, we'd really love to run we were looking into the possibility of running a socially distanced face-to-face retreat after Christmas. Obviously, that's highly contingent on lots of things. If it's not face-to-face, then we'll do it online. But one thing we're exploring is the idea of having the retreat team, somewhere on retreat, socially distanced, maybe in a house in the countryside, and then also encouraging people to take the time off work and to see if they can go somewhere themselves away from the usual environment. So that's one of the really key things about a retreat, is you leave the usual environment that you're in and you go somewhere different. And it's a really key element of retreating. And if we can do that, it'd be really good that we do it. So yeah, we want to see what we can do with retreats and to continue to develop them. The other thing I wanted to mention is collaboration. So because we're no longer tied to a particular location, it makes collaboration between different Triratna enterprises and centres and bodies and so on more possible. So that's London Buddhist Centre run retreat a couple of weeks ago possible, is the fact that we were no longer limited by location. So we're going to continue to put feelers out and explore different ways that we can collaborate. There's already been quite a bit of collaboration, particularly with the Killaloo group, with Sangha Shura and the Killaloo group. So yes, that's something we want to keep exploring, because there's all sorts of possibilities, and we don't want, I think this is a wider question for a Triratna, is how we can make the most of the resources that we have as a community, rather than all kind of replicating the same things in different places. It's a much sort of bigger question that we're asking at sort of higher levels in our community. And there's a body that meets called the European Chairs Assembly, which is people that do the job that I do, but in different Buddhist centres around Europe. And then there's the International Council, which basically has got representatives from the whole of Triratna all over the world. And that's one of the things that we'll be talking about at our meeting, which is starting on tomorrow week. Yeah, so that's just a few little things. obviously there's significant challenges. And one of the main challenges from the point of view of trying to create a Sangha is that we can't, or not, we can't easily be with each other. And as many online things as we can have, there's never going to be a substitute for that. I think it's such a vital thing to be with others. So I'm really looking forward to the day when we can meet together and just a sort of a decent number of people. We're exploring possibilities again of meeting outside and so on, but there are, like I say, significant challenges to that. What I would say is I'd really encourage you just to meet up as individuals. It's quite relatively easy to meet safely with one or two other people, maybe three, bearing in mind the things we've been asked to do from the government and so on in terms of it being sensible about meetings. But it is possible to meet people and to deepen existing friendships and make new friends. One of the things I loved about the summer retreat was the seeing Anne, Kara, Katie, Kevin, and Stephen all on together on retreat in a caravan in Donabate, and I just thought it was lovely just to see people really making the most of that opportunity and being together in that way. And I know they had a really good time. So I think that's something that we could do loads more of in the future. Another thing we want to do, of course, is open the centre. So as you know, it's a small space. I think most of you have been here. I think there's some people who might not have been here, but it is a small space. So socially distancing is difficult. It's difficult, but it's not impossible. So in the coming weeks, we're going to be working on having a limited range of activities available. It'll probably mean, small gatherings for study or maybe meditation or puja, but it'll be small and it'll be incremental as well. So, but we've been concentrating on trying to do as much on the online platform as possible. So we've kind of put that to one side, but we will pick that up in the coming weeks and try and get the place open so people can just come and be here in whatever way they want to. So that's being with others and having that sense of a shared practice, a shared endeavour. There's opening the centre, and then there's financial resourcing. So we'd really love. We were talking on the council this morning. So the councillor is basically a group of 7 order members, and together we're responsible for running the charity, running the Dublin Buddhist Centre. And we were talking this morning. We meet at the moment. We've been meeting every month, and on a Friday morning, and we talk about all the different aspects of what it means to make the Dharma available through this vehicle of the charity. And we'd really love to continue to do everything on a Dharma basis. And actually, at the moment, we're doing okay financially because of people's generosity, because people have been so generous. We're actually doing okay at the moment. And we're not running a deficit at the moment. However, that's highly dependent on 2 factors. Well, 3 factors, really. First of all, people's generosity, that continuing. We've also got a mortgage repayment holiday. So we're only paying interest on our mortgage. We've got that for a year. So again, that's not going to be indefinite. And because our income drops so drastically, because we can no longer run courses in the way that we were running courses, we're also eligible for the wage subsidy. So at present, the government is paying a large proportion of the financial support for the centre team. So the 5 of us that I mentioned earlier. There's a sort of slightly strange thing that now, because people have been so generous, we've been able to restore our income to a position where we're no longer. We think in the next few weeks or months we're going to lose that subsidy because we've been able to restore our income. So overall, this is a very positive thing, but it also creates another challenge for the centre. So like I say, what we'd really love to do is to continue the Dharma economy into the future, just to make the Dharma available without any financial barrier. And just to continue that spirit of generosity and have, in a way, no compromise with that. To keep the Dharma free. So what we're asking, what I'm asking you to consider is one of 2 things by way of supporting the Dublin Buddhist Centre financially. One is to take out a standing order if you don't already have one. So this is where you give a certain amount of money every month to the charity for the purposes of our activities. So that's one thing. And if you don't already have a standing order, a really good amount to give, if you're able to, is €21 or more. So if we get €21 per month, that amounts to €250 per year. And that means we can claim what's called tax relief. So basically, we get more money based on the taxes that you've paid on that money. I won't get into the particulars because it's a bit complicated, but it can be worth up to 33% more. The €250 that you give per annum can be worth 33% more. So, and that doesn't cost anything more to the person who gives it. So that's just something to aim for. You can give more than that, obviously, if you want to. And if you, the other request is this is a request to consider this, is if you've already got a standing order to increase it. So I know many of you have already increased it, and I'm really grateful actually for all the generosity that people have been giving, but I did want to make that request to consider one of those two things, to either take out a standing order if you don't already have one, and if you do have one, to increase it. And what that means is that we'll be able to have a sense of confidence going into the future, which makes a really big difference. You can be bolder in your decisions. What we'd love to do is get a bigger centre. We'd love to get a retreat centre as well down the line, and just continue to create conditions for the Dharma to flourish in Ireland. And if you've got financial security, or at least a modicum of it, you can make bolder decisions. And the standing order is just a really brilliant way of creating that support. And it's lovely actually that we've got such a broad base of support, and we want to in a way broaden that and deepen that by asking those who are already giving to give more. So that's the ask. I've got a few more things to say, but that's basically what I'm asking on behalf of the charity, is for you to consider that. I'm aware that not everybody's able to do that, and what I want to say, I'll say in a moment, the fact that in a way what you can give is much broader than just money. Money's very useful. Other ways you can give, which I'll mention in a moment. So I'll just pause there because I've been talking at you for a little while. Take a drink of water. And yeah, so what I wanted to just visit briefly now, I'm coming towards the end now, is well, what is a Buddhist Centre? So that's a question that arises when the way that you've been operating is completely transformed, completely changed. You have to ask the question, well, what are you actually trying to do? What is a Buddhist Centre? What is a charity? What is a Buddhist charity? What are we actually doing here? Why have a Buddhist Centre? And I think what we can go back to as a way of answering this question is the Buddha himself, and the Buddha's vision. After his awakening, he is said to have had this vision of humanity as like a bed of lotus flowers, a bed of lotus blossoms. And some of the blossoms are deep in the mud. Some of them are coming up into the water. Some of them are beginning to poke their heads above the water. And there are some, as the text has it, the Aryapariasana sort of says, that some have but little dust in their eyes and will perish if they don't hear the Dharma. So what the Buddha did is he then responded to that vision, responded to that potential of those unopened buds, as it were, by going and communicating the Dharma and founding a Sangha. So I think in a way that's what we're trying to do with having a Buddhist Centre, is to continue that process, continue that work, continue that sort of force of effort that the Buddha began 2,500 years ago, and just give people the option, give people the path, give people the Noble Eightfold Path that they can tread to enable those blossoms, the blossoms in our hearts to open. And something that I'm often reminded of is just the importance of making that available to people so that they know that it's an option. So there are some people who just don't know that that's an option in the world. Quite a few people actually, like we're all aware of it and we're benefiting from it, but some people just don't know that that's a possibility. They don't know that's an option. So at the very least, I think what we can do is make that available to people so that they know there's an option if they want to make the effort to grow and develop, to realize their potential. So it's often spoken of, the Dharma is often spoken of as a response to suffering, and it is that, but it's also, and maybe this is a truer way of putting it, it's a response to potential. It's a response to our human potential to grow and develop. And this is where I wanted to bring in the image of Tara. So Tara has in her hands a spray of lotus blossoms. So in her right hand, she has a spray of lotus blossoms. And in her left hand, she has a spray of lotus blossoms. And in each spray, there's a bud, there's a half opened or partly opened flower, a blue lotus, and there's a fully opened blue lotus in both her hands. So that mirrors this this vision of potential, the Buddha's vision of the bed of lotus flowers, this progressive unfolding, this progressive opening of these lotuses. And then I think in a way what Tara embodies is the process of that unfolding, what needs to happen. She embodies the paramitas, she embodies the path. She's, like I say, the living embodiment of that. And when I remember, you might have been there, right at the beginning of all of this, I gave a talk and I spoke about the importance of fearlessness. I spoke about Tara's hand, one of her hands, the hand here where she holds in her left hand the fearlessness mudra, and she holds the mudra of the three jewels, so her three fingers are upright, and they represent the three jewels, those three fingers. And the three jewels, of course, are the ultimate fearlessness, and how important that was. And I was saying how we had what we needed to face whatever challenges arose by going for refuge to the three jewels. What I don't think I mentioned at the time was so much about the other hand. So in her other hand here, her right hand, which also holds a spray of lotuses, you can see them kind of weaving up the side of her arm there. She's in what's called the Varada mudra, the Varada gesture. And that means, so again, her body embodies fearlessness and it embodies Dharma. And there's an intimate relationship between fearlessness and generosity. So fear is ultimately derived from the fear of losing something. If we're not frightened of losing anything, we've got nothing to fear. So this is the steadfastness, the unflappability of the Buddha. So one of the things that's said, just going back to his enlightenment, is he says, my awakening was unshakable, or sometimes it's referred to as imperturbable. It doesn't tremble, it's utterly solid. And that's because he's not frightened of losing anything, because he's not attached to anything. There's just this freedom of heart and freedom of mind. So that's what Tara's gesture embodies. That if, dana, generosity, is the attitudinal correspondent to the understanding, the realization of not self or anatta, or freedom from self-view or self-attachment. So yes, dana is not just a sort of a good thing to do. It actually goes right to the heart of the very deepest insights of the Dharma. And so these two qualities, the generosity and the fearlessness, are intimately connected. And of course, the two arms are united in her body, in Tara's body. So in a way, what I'm inviting everybody to do is to just enable the Dharma to be made available to people who are like those lotuses. And in a way, if you're not able to give financially, you can still give in other ways. And I wanted to point out, just to finish, that the Sangha itself is a gift. So enabling people to come together and being together with others, we create something together that is a gift for others to participate in. So I wanted to emphasize the fact that actually participating in an event like this, or in a puja or a course or an online retreat, or a real, face-to-face retreat, when we can have those. Doing all those things is actually an act of generosity, because by coming together, you're creating something that is of benefit for others. And people so yearn for a sense of belonging to something which is entirely positive, which helps them to grow. So I really wanted to emphasize that it's not just the Dharma that we can give people. It's not just practices and teachings. It's also a sense of community. And by just participating in that, we are creating something for others. So just turning up, being there, communicating with others, engaging with others, we are creating something that's going to benefit other people. So I just wanted to finish with that note, just by really emphasizing the fact that we can all give. Financial giving is important. It's one way of giving, but there are lots of other ways. And we want to really try and explore in the coming times how we can enable other people to get involved in more practical ways of giving. But that's down the line. Anyway, so I've tried to give you a little bit of a sense of what we've been doing, these sort of 3 revolutions in the way that we've been working, in terms of not being limited by our location, not being limited by our size, and the fact that we've made this transition to an entirely generosity based economy. And then I've asked for you to consider either giving a standing order if you're not giving one, or increasing it if you are giving one, and just this vision of Tara as the embodiment of not just fearlessness, but also generosity, and how just by coming together, by simply being with others, by participating and engaging with others, we can create something that's of value, that's a gift for others as well. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just say Tara's mantra 3 times to finish. Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re Swaha. Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re Swaha. Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re Swaha.